As the co-founder of Pinnacle Quest Consulting, veteran real estate agent, speaker, trainer, and coach, Verl Workman has helped thousands of real estate professionals throughout North America build their business, grow their careers, and change their lives. After more than 20 years of providing practical, progressive, proven sales programs, one thing is perfectly clear. Verl can help you get real results in the real world. Please welcome Verl Workman.
Thank you, good job. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. I love Exit. What an awesome group. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me back. How many of you are ready to take it up about 10 notches and let's just rock? Who's ready to go? You know, I was talking to Tammy and we were discussing topics for this great convention. And she says, well, last time everybody loved your freaking sales animal talk. How many of you remember that one? I know you do because I walk down the halls in downtown Disney. People are like, freaking sales animal, I'm doing that. I love that. I love that you just didn't hear about it, that you actually are doing it and using it. People ask me all the time what makes me different, what makes me unique. I say I'm armed to the teeth with technology and I'm a freaking sales animal. I love sales. I love sales training and I love sales people. How many of you are in sales? Do you have any sales people here today? Where are you? That's what I'm talking about. We were discussing some different sales topics and things we could do, and I've been working with the Mandino Corporation on putting together some really cool coaching programs. And I mentioned that to her, and all I said was AUG, and the conversation ended. She says, that's what we want. That's what we're going to do. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. How many of you have read the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World by Mandino? How many of you read it? You know, this is really a cool book, and I'm going to share with you some of the 10 scrolls, and I'm going to put some practical application to it, but I want you to take just a minute. And I want you to imagine with me being in your new car and it's a stick shift. And you get on the freeway and you put it into first gear and you go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. And the engine starts to just scream at a loud high pitch. And all of a sudden you're wondering why those RPMs are off the chart. They're at the 7,000 and it's going so fast that you can hear it. Something's about to blow, something's about to give. How many of you feel like that in your business? Like you go 1,000 miles an hour in first gear. Sometimes it's okay to take your foot off the gas, put your foot on the clutch, and shift gears. Today is all about shifting gears. Real estate has become more and more complicated. Technology is changing everything. The consumer is so much more savvy than they've ever been before. And the quality of real estate agents is increasing. We're attracting smarter, more intelligent, tech-savvy business people into this business. And what's happening is the competition is getting tough. And you've got to learn to be able to take your foot off the gas for a minute, look around, clutch in, shift gears. We need to be able to perform at a higher level of stress with a lower level of effort. Does that make sense? And I'm going to talk about that today just a little bit. You know, Mandino, when he wrote the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, he wrote it in one night. It was back in 1968 that it was first published. Now, I love salespeople. I love studying sales. And when I read Mandino's Greatest Salesman in the World, I think I was still in high school for the first time. And I remember reading those 10 scrolls. Recently, I know, right? That's when I read it, not when it was built. When Mandino wrote the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, he did it in one night. And if you read the story of how it all came to pass, he was actually under pressure from his publisher to get this book written. And he couldn't come up with a concept of how he wanted to tell the story. And one night he got up, he couldn't sleep because the wheels began turning in his head. And he went into his study, and his wife knew that when he got into this focused mode, I'll call it an inspired mode, not to bother him. She would bring in little treats and something to eat, and he wouldn't touch it. And in one night, he wrote this book that has sold over 2 million copies in its first publishing. It just went nuts all over the world. And today, when I find great salespeople and we're interviewing people, I ask them, who do you read? What do you like to read? I often hear the 10 great scrolls from Mandino. The problem with the scrolls and the problem with training and the problem with coaching entrepreneurs, which we have a room filled with entrepreneurs today, is that statistically, you're adverse to somebody else teaching you what to do. 99.95% of all entrepreneurs are resistant to structure. They like to think outside the box. How many of you feel that way? How many of you are out-of-the-box thinkers? Where's my out-of-the-box thinkers? We're creative. We like to come up with new ideas. Well, I'm here to tell you that sometimes it's okay to think inside the box, and I'll give you some examples of what that means. 80% of entrepreneurs are resistant to authority. How many of you have caught yourself saying things like this? Well, I don't care if he's my broker. I've heard those words walking down the halls. I know you have them. We're naturally resistant to authority. That's why we're entrepreneurs. We want to be the boss. 97% of all entrepreneurs are obsessively overthinking. Like, we're sitting here this morning and you're thinking about all the other stuff that's going on in your life and how you have a better way of doing things. If I were to ask your spouses if you have strong opinions on how things to be done, what would they say? Right? We all have those strong opinions on how things should be done. Well, I'm going to ask you to put aside your natural tendency as entrepreneurs, and I want you to be open up to learning this morning. I want you to engage. I want you to understand that I'm going to share with you some structure, and if you work within the structure, you'll find great success. I want you to put aside your resistance to authority and listen to me as an expert in sales. And I'm going to share with you tools and processes and dialogue that will help you change what's going on up here. Because unless we fix what's going on up on here, it's very difficult for us to make the necessary changes in the structure of your business that will actually have an impact on your life. We have to change your thinking. It's about thinking differently, not just about acting differently. And I want you to check out from all the other things that are going on in your brain. And I want you to, as the great Howard Brinton used to say, get out of judgment and get into curiosity. It's time to be curious. Why would we want to talk about this great story? Now, I can't quote all the words of Og Mandino. This is the greatest salesman in the world. And he writes with such passion and eloquence that from time to time, as I share with you the scrolls, I'm going to read with you in his own words what he says about some of these specific scrolls. Scroll number 1, and I'm going to ask for some enthusiasm and participation throughout the day. Is that all right with everybody? All right, well, today I begin a new life. How do you like scroll number 1 so far? Today I begin a new life. And this is what Og says about beginning a new life. He says, today I begin a new life. I shed my old skin, which has long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard for all, where there is fruit for all. He says, now tell me if this is how you feel about exit. The career I have chosen is laden with opportunity. That's like a 6 on the enthusiasm scale. Let me change the dialogue. The company I have chosen is laden with opportunity. This is not your average real estate company, folks. Yet it is fraught with heartbreak and despair. And the bodies of those who have failed were piled up one on top of another, would cast a shadow down upon the pyramids of the earth. Yet I will not fail. As others, for my hands I now hold the charge, which guide me through the perilous waters to the shores which only yesterday seemed but a dream. I will not fail. Let me hear it. I will not fail. That's exactly right, because today I begin a new life. What it means that we get to shed off all of the crap, all of the history, all of the things that have brought us down, all of the negative thought process, all of the things that hold us back from being successful. And we say, you know what? I'm going to put those aside, and today I'm going to begin new. The difference between success and failure, according to Og Mandino, lies in the habits that we have, the habits that we've created. I'm going to tell you that we all have habits. We're creatures of habits. We get up every day and we go through these rituals. I wonder if we were to change some of your current habits with better habits, if you would find a greater level of success, both personally and professionally. That's the concept. He says, here's what he says about habits real quick. I just got to show you. He says, let me define failure. He says, failure is a man's inability to reach his goals in life, whatever they may be. In truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lies in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits unlock the door to failure. Thus, the first law I will obey, which precedeth all others, is I will form good habits, and become their slave. Let's talk about habits for a second. You know, Og Mandino created on his website what they call is an intentional creation assessment. And in that intentional creation assessment, it takes about 30 minutes to go through it. You go through and answer all of these questions, and mathematically they come up with very eye-opening disclosure as to your thought processes, and they give you clarity on the areas where your thought processes are maybe not as healthy as you wish they were. If you go down to this website, it's on the screen right here, it says coachic.com, and you put in the code EXIT, you can go through and take the entire assessment for free. That's the exit code that I got from the Og Mandino Corporation. That code will be valid for 2 weeks. So go to coachic.com, take the assessment, and let's take a look at where your habits are, where your thought processes are, and see if we can work on the specific things that will make a difference. When I talk about forming good habits, I want to talk about what we do on a daily basis. How much time did you say you spend, how much of your day would you say you spend doing money-making activities? Really, truly things that generate income. Throw it out. 10%? 20%? Okay. How many of you would like more business? Let me ask this a different way. How many of you want more business? All right, raise your hand if you're prospecting a minimum of 3 hours a day. All right, so I got like 8 people here that raised their hands, Steve. I want you to see that. So everybody wants more money, but how many of you are prospecting? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not doing that. So what are you doing instead that is going to give you the result that you're looking for? Look, there's only 2 things that we do in real estate. Actually, I'll say 3 things. Number 1 is we prospect. Number 2, we show properties. And number 3, we negotiate deals. That's it. Everything else should be outsourced. Because where you make your money is out there with NASB's knockers, knocking doors. You got to prospect. If you don't prospect, you can't succeed. Sorry, I have to take a drink of water. That's good. Okay, so we got to prospect. We're going to talk about habits. I will form good habits and I'll become their slave. A couple of habits that I think are critical in real estate. I know that if you do the right things over and over and over and over again, it begins to form a habit. And you have to do it consecutively for how many days? They say 21 days. I say 30 days. Let's err on the side of more. So 30 days to form a good habit. So you got to prospect 2 to 3 hours a day. What would happen to your income if that's the only thing you changed as a result of being here is you decided that Monday through Friday, taking weekends off, you prospected 2 to 3 hours a day? How many of you would have a better year in 2015 than you did in 2014? How many? Okay, so we understand the concept, but how many of you are willing to make a commitment to change your behavior and actually do it? Okay, what's the difference? I think it's so interesting. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I'll make more money if I do it. How many of you can do it? Well, no. Why not? You know what we do? I'll tell you why. It's because we're afraid of being successful. We're used to hanging out with people that are in poverty. The average realtor does 7 transactions a year, makes $21,000 and qualifies for food stamps. And you're hanging out with them, and you're going to lunch with them, and you're wallowing in the misery of why everything's so bad. I'm telling you, you got to change the people you hang out with. Find people that are doing great and hang out with them. Hang out with the people that don't have time to sit around the copy machine or the water cooler and talk about other people. Hang out with people that are loving life and that prospect. I want to hang out with people that are actually fired up and ready to go. I asked John Neighbor, great Olympian, one time. John Neighbor has 7 medals, 4 gold medals, 3 silver medals as a swimmer. The guy's amazing. I said, John, who do you coach? Who do you choose to coach? He says, oh, that's really easy. Have you ever seen a child with a big Labrador puppy at the park? He says, and that puppy is pulling the kid like this. He says, that's who I coach. If I feel like I have to drag them along, that's not my client. I coach the people who really want it. They say, put me in, coach, I want to go. They're sitting on the bench, you're like, I want to go. That's who I want to recruit. That's who belongs in exit. We don't want to have to push a noodle up a hill. What we want to do is we want people who are fired up and ready for change, that want to build something of value in their real estate life and career. Exit is different. It's not about selling houses. It's about changing people's lives and giving them something of value when they're done. That's what makes you different. Are you sharing that story? All you need to do is spend about 30 seconds with Steve, and you'll see that vision. It oozes out of every pore in his being, doesn't it? It's not a pitch. It's a mission to make a difference in the lives of the people we serve. But you've got to have the right kinds of habits, and you have to share your story. I met with a broker today just for fun, and she knows who she is, and she said, how do you get over the fact that when I'm recruiting, I don't feel comfortable talking to experienced agents and telling them my story? I says, you don't believe it. You've got to believe it in your DNA that the story is different, or you can never sell it, because people will see through your insincerity. You have to be authentic. I would only go after experienced agents because they've been in the business long enough to know they have nothing of value. And if they stop working, they're done. The revenue stops, the income stops, and nothing happens. That's who I would target. I would find people who get that. And I would ask the simple question, what do you have when you're done? When you pull the plug and you want to retire? Well, I'm going to sell my database. Bull crap. They don't even keep a database. Most of the realtors keep their database in Microsoft Outlook. They don't have action plans or follow-up systems or programs. According to NAR, 78% of realtors keep their database in Outlook. And it's funny because top producers here at every single conference, and they're at all of the conventions, and they're here to serve and help people. 85% of our top agents in the world that we coach use Top Producer as a contact management system. Well, there's a reason. Don't wonder and recreate the wheel. Don't think outside the box. Get in the box and just use what you know works. Let me share with you a few things that we do from a habit perspective. I believe that which gets measured gets done. We track everything. I want to know. This is what we call a daily activity record. I want to know how many calls were made a day. If you look at the daily activity record, if you look at the top, every time a call is made, I make a slash. When I have a conversation, I make an X. When I make an appointment, I record it. We know our numbers. We know how many calls it takes in order to get an appointment. We know how many appointments we need in order to get a client. We know how many clients we need in order to get a sale. And because we know that information, it gives us the ability to tell us what a value of our time is when we're prospecting. The next thing we do is we create what's called an ideal weekly schedule. The ideal weekly schedule says that we understand what's important and we schedule those things first. You've heard the story of the big rocks. If you don't put the big rocks in first, you won't get them all in. The concept of doing an ideal weekly schedule, say, okay, what are the things I got to do? Well, I've got to prospect every day. I've got to have time for appointments. I've got to have showings. I've got to have call follow-up. I may eat. I may not eat. Oh, yeah, I'm going to eat. So I'm going to schedule that in. It's part of the deal. I schedule it in. Sometimes I eat on the fly. This is not a regiment daily schedule. It's called an ideal weekly schedule. If your week works out the way it's supposed to work out, you schedule time in for prospecting. And you know that it's there. So you leverage your time and you make a plan and then you work your plan. Stephen Covey says that the 2 reasons businesses fail. Top 2 reasons. Number 1, misunderstanding of the market. And number 2, lack of a plan. They don't have a plan. How many of you have a written strategic business plan for your business? Wow. Okay. So here's an action item for you. If you know that that's one of the primary reasons businesses fail, what's the action item? You must do what? Right now, by the end of October, all of my clients have to have their 2015 business plans turned into me. I need to see that their 2015 plan is done. Because if we wait till January to do our plan, then we're February, March before we actually execute on it. The first quarter's already gone, and we're already falling behind on hitting our goals. And whatever your number was this year, I would set as your goal to just flat out double it. So whatever you did this year, whether it's recruiting or whether it's selling franchises or whether it's selling houses, I want you to set your goal to double it. And then change your behavior and set your schedule to be equal to the activities that you must do in order to hit that income or production goal. And instead of counting the dollars all the time, how about this? How about we not just count the dollars, but let's count the families we serve. How many families do we need to serve this year in order to be able to hit our goal? Because it's not about more money. I mean, you can make a lot of money in this business, but let's start making a difference in the lives of the people we serve. Now, here's what I know. I met a guy named Ashton Gustafson at a CRS conference years ago, and Ashton I interviewed in an interview with the top 5% of realtors in the country called Top 5 by Risk Media. And when I interviewed Ashton, I said, what are your habits? What are the things you do every single day that make you different? How do you achieve such a high level of success? Ashton does 300-400 transactions a year. He says, every day I use my 60 points of rhythm chart, and I don't go home unless I score 60 points. And I want you to look at this. 25 calls gets 25 points. 25 emails gets 25 points. 5 written notes. 5 written notes gets 5 points. If I show 2 homes to 1 client, that's 10 points. An offer written, 10 points. Offer accepted, 10 points. If I listing, sign, and complete it, it's 10 points, and a closing is 10 points. If I take a client or a sphere of influence to lunch, I get 10 points. He says, I do not go home unless I score 60 points every single day. And by creating a 60 points of rhythm process, what happens is every day I go home and I know that my activities will result in success. How many of you think that works? Okay, why does it work? Because it's a system. It's a process. We do the same thing over and over and over, and we create great habits. So create great habits. This is kind of interesting. We tracked literally over 7 million minutes of prospecting on the phone. I can tell you that 7 million minutes of prospecting, the average amount of income that our agents earn while prospecting is $2,441 an hour. When you're on the phones and you're making phone calls and you're talking to your clients and you're looking for new business, you're making $2,400 an hour. I want you to look at your day and look at your planners and look at your schedule, and I want you to look at all the activities you do and ask yourself, would I pay someone $2,500 an hour to do that? And if the answer is no, you should not be doing it yourself. You should be doing this. Make sense? Hey, if I make $2,400 an hour prospecting, what do you want to do today? Oh, how many of you are getting ready to do something great? Right? Oh, I'm getting ready. Zig Ziglar calls that getting cooked into squat, fixing to rise. He's like, I'm getting ready to do something great, but they keep turning up the oven and they never come out of the oven having risen. You can't just do something. You can't just think about it. You have to actually do it. Here's the action items for scroll number 1. I gotta go fast. It says, you gotta replace current habits with better habits. That's an action item. Number 2, build your business plan and build a life plan. Where do you want to be 5 years from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now? Let's break it down to the ridiculous and look at the daily activities. How many calls do we have to make? How many hours do we need to prospect to be on target to hit that income goal? Track your numbers. You got to track everything. If you measure it, you'll do it. If you don't measure it, you won't. How many of you have ever been on a diet before? I'm totally against the concept. But when you go on a diet, if you don't measure what you eat, you have a tendency to eat a lot more. Have you learned that? Right, that's why I don't want to measure. I don't want to know. That's okay. But in your business, it's not. We have to measure it if you want to do it. So track it. Go in and take the intentional creation assessment on coachic.com, and let's see where your thought processes are and work on the areas where you need improvement. And then shed your old skin, your old habits, the old ways of doing things, and the bad thoughts, and let's move on. Number 2, one of my favorite scrolls. I will greet this day with love in my heart. And I got to share this with you because this is so powerful. Og says, for this is the greatest secret of success in all ventures. Muscle can split a shield, even destroy a life, but only the unseen power of love can open the hearts of men. And until I master this art, I will remain no more than a peddler in the marketplace. I will make love my greatest weapon, and none on whom I call can defend against its force. How powerful. How powerful is that? So how do we do that? How do you do that? Is that something you can fake? There's no way. There's no way. Genuine love, agape love, is a heightened sense of awareness. It's being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and really, really, truly understand where they're coming from. Put yourself in their shoes and then provide solutions to their problems. It's about caring more about the families that we serve than it is about the money that we make. It's a true desire to serve and make a difference in the lives of the people we touch. For brokers, for owners, who we serve are our agents. And agents who we serve are the consumers. You have to understand whose role it is and whose lives it are that you want to make. I'm going to give you some action items. You know, in 1992, there are a group of neuroscientists that came up with this thing that says that when you smile, there are over 200 muscles in your face. And even though people don't see all those muscles, it communicates through neurons that you're safe. And when you say the words, I love you, before you speak, it changes your physiology and you communicate differently. Matter of fact, we're going to do this. I want you to turn to someone that you didn't come with. I want you to look at him and I want you to say, I love you. I love you. I don't know if anybody else felt that, but I feel it. I have goosebumps on my arms. What just happened? What just happened to the energy in our room? It changed. It's a love fest. The humor side just about kicked in. I'm not going there. All right. When you say it's almost physically impossible to say I love you to someone and not smile. It makes them feel different about you and towards you. What Og Mandino says is he says, when you speak to someone, he says this, he says, and how will I confront each with whom I meet? In only one way. In silence and to myself, I will address him and say, I love you. Though spoken in silence, these words will shine in my eyes, unwrinkle my brow, and bring a smile to my lips, and echo in my voice, and his heart will be opened. When you're recruiting, and you have someone across from your desk, and you want to share with them the exit story, if before you open your mouth, you say in your mind, I love you, it will change the way the conversation goes. How many of you are willing to actually do it? We're not recruiting people, we're changing their lives. We're making a difference. And the only reason we care to do that is because we care about them. When you're making an offer, when you're sitting down asking for a buyer agreement, when you're in a listing presentation, when you're dealing with an idiot agent on the other side of the phone, when confrontation is in front of you, say the word silently in your mind, I love you, and then respond appropriately. It will change the outcome. But you have to put it to practice. You know how hard this is going to be, right? You know how hard this is. It's not easy. And I want you to do it with your family members, your children, and your spouse. Instead of arguing and coming up with a quick response, we're constantly thinking about what we're going to say next when someone's telling us something we don't agree with. I want you to stop, and I want you to put yourself in their shoes and use this heightened sense of awareness called agape love and say, I love you. Now let's make a difference. You know, and I'd like you to journal this for the next 30 or 60 days. Go open up your Evernote. Y'all using Evernote? Okay, get in your Evernote and create a journal called 60 Days of Love. And I want you to record the experiences you have by just saying the words in your mind before you engage in a conversation. And I want you to share those with Exit. Share with us what's going on when you say I love you in your mind before you make a difference. Create an Evernote journal and let's journal it. The next one. Oh, yeah, we're going to spend some time on this scroll. I will persist until I succeed. How long do we persist? Oh, yeah, let me tell you what Og says. Og says, I will persist until I succeed. I was not delivered into this earth. So I was not delivered into this world in defeat, nor does failure course through my veins. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to talk and walk and sleep with the sheep. I will hear not those who weep and complain, for their disease is contagious. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. Who writes like that? I love that. I will persist until I succeed. Persistence. How many of you, if I could say, hey, if I could just give you more leads, who's in? I want to give you more leads. Who's in? All right, now I'm going to tell you don't need any more leads. All you need to do is convert more of the ones you have. But because we're horrible at persistence, we don't do it the right things over and over again, we don't convert. I met a guy on stage at a conference that I spoke at one time named Josh Sundquist. This is a guy that if you ever have an opportunity to see, you should hear him speak. As an 11-year-old boy, he made his first soccer team, a competitive soccer team. He goes to his first practice, and after practice, his leg begins to hurt to the point where it's so sore his mom takes him to the doctor. He goes to the doctor and finds out that he has cancer in his leg. It's a bone cancer that's terminal. His choice is eliminate the leg or lose your life. 11-year-old kid. Josh says, I remember being in the hospital, and I'm sitting in my hospital bed, and they bring a wheelchair in to take me to the operating room. He says, I looked up at the nurse, and I said, would it be okay if I took this last walk? And he walked into the operating room. My heart went out to Josh. I met Josh, and Josh and I spent some time together. He tells his story how he went to Salt Lake City, which is where I'm from, to the 2000, yeah, there's my Salt Lake, folks, to the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. And Josh was there just as a spectator. And after the Olympics, they do the Paralympics. And Josh was there as a spectator. And they had finished all the events, and everything was done. And Josh had snuck up in the University of Utah on the stage. And he was pretending like he'd won a medal, right? He's up there with his hobble. And there was a photographer in the audience that came up to him and said, hey, what's your sport? And he goes, oh, I don't really do any sports. I was just pretending. And he goes, why not? He goes, I don't know. He says, why don't you do something instead of nothing? And I'm going to take your picture today, and at the next Paralympics, when you're in, where I think it was in Spain, he says, I'll take your picture again there when you're actually wearing a USA team jersey. And Josh didn't believe he could do it, but he went ahead and found a coach. He found someone that got him to believe in himself more than he did. And he went out and he would begin to ski race. So he races for the next 4 years. He learns how to ski, right? I don't know how, it's hard to ski with 2 legs. I don't know if you can imagine skiing with 1 leg, right? He's skiing with 1 leg, and he's going through all of these things. And Josh learned that if he had great habits and he persisted until he succeeded, he would actually be able to find success. So what Josh did is when everybody else was done, he was working out with the U.S. ski team in Park City, Utah. When everybody was done with practice, he would make one more run, and he would do it one more time. When they were running stadiums and they were running up and down the stairs, he's hopping up and down the stairs on 1 leg, up and down, up and down, up and down. When everybody goes to the locker room, he does one more round around the stadium. On the tips of his 2 skis, on your ski poles, they have skis on the end of your poles. He writes with a Sharpie marker, 1MT, 1MT. It stands for one more thing, one more time. When everybody else quits, we do one more thing, one more time. When you're done knocking doors and everybody else is going back, one more door, one more time. One more call, one more time. One more hour prospecting. One more offer. One more buyer agreement. One more FSBO. One more expired. Let's do it. One more thing, one more time. When you got nothing left, you do one more thing, one more time. In Josh's final race, the one where he actually decided whether he went to the Olympics, he says, I had to win this race. I couldn't come in second or third. I had to win. It was the last qualifying race. I wish I could jump. Josh gets down on a stage over here, and he says, I'm in the starting blocks. He says, and I look to my right, and it's the world record holder. I look to my left, it's the American record holder, and I have to win. I've never beaten these guys in a race, and I have to win to make the team. He says, all I want is that USA jersey. He says, and I thought to myself, I've trained harder. I've run the stadiums. My leg is stronger. I'm going to jump out of these blocks, and I'm never going to look back. And he gets down, and he squats down on the stage, and Josh leaps across the stage like I've never seen anybody with 2 legs jump. He leaps across the stage, lands over here. He says, I came out of the starting blocks, and I never looked back. He says, I came across, and I came through the thing, and I looked to my left and looked to my right and saw them finish after me and made the Olympic team. One more thing, one more time. We persist until we succeed. The difference between success and failure is your ability to persist. It's not about generating more leads, folks. It's about even following up with your leads. You know that 48% of salespeople never even follow up with a lead? 48% never even get a call back. They never follow up. 25% of salespeople only make the second contact and then they stop. You know why? Because we have an automated system and they think that's good enough. We wait for people to call and turn themselves in. That's not being in sales. That's a bunch of order takers. Hey, boy, I sure wish my phone was ringing today. 12% of salespeople ever make the third contact and then they stop. Have we eliminated our competition now? This is who we're competing with. They're a bunch of order takers. Here's where the money's made. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Now watch this. 2% of sales are made on the first call. 3% are made on the second contact. 5% are made on the third contact. Where do most people stop? 2. The majority never make the third contact. So now we're like in a elite arena with very few people that are continuing to follow up. 10% of salespeople ever make the 4th contact. And here's where the money's made in real estate. The money is made on the 5th to 12th personal touch. The money is made between 5 and 12. 80% of your deals, 80% of your closings are going to happen as a result of persisting without exception. We persist until we succeed. We can't drop the ball. We can't stop calling. Great salespeople will call until you buy or tell me to die. That long will I persist. That long will I follow up. You know, it's interesting. We create a program called the ABCs to Lead Management. Let me share with you how we do it. With our coaching clients, we define follow-up. We take it out of the box and put it back in the box and say, follow the system. Would you like me to give you a system for converting a higher percent of your leads? Okay, does everybody else want this as well? Okay, here we go. Number one, you got to understand the difference between an A, a B, and a C lead. An A lead is someone who's ready to buy immediately. They're ready to go. The way we define an A lead is you have an appointment with them. So if you meet me outside, and I will meet many of you over the next couple of days, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how many A clients do you have? If you tell me, well, I've got like 14, I'll say, you have 14 appointments, show me your calendar. Because what you really have is one that has an appointment and 13 that are getting ready to do something great. And they're getting cooked in the squat. So an A lead is defined as someone who what? We have an appointment. We schedule an appointment. We don't have to put them on a follow-up campaign because we're seeing them on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. That's an appointment. Now, this applies in franchise sales, it applies in recruiting, and it applies in selling real estate. Number two, a B lead means they're not ready to go for 30 to 90 days. And we're going to put them on a follow-up plan, and we are going to call them twice a month during the weeks of the 1st and the 15th. During the weeks of the 1st and the 15th, we call all of our B leads. We do lots of high-volume lead generation systems. Lead generation is not an issue in real estate. Lead conversion is the issue, and finding people who actually want to work. That's the issue. Lead generation, not a problem. We can build your business to any level you want to go. You just say, put me in, coach, and I'll show you how to do it. So lead generation is not the problem, but how we follow up with leads. A B lead, during the weeks of the 1st and the 15th, we call through our B leads. So you should go into your top producer, your contact manager, your e-ads, you look at all your clients, and you call all your B leads the 1st and the 15th during those weeks. So the whole office should be on this plan. During the first week of the month, we're calling our B leads. During the 15th, we're calling our B leads, and we're doing it every single week as a habit. Okay, C leads, they're 90 days to wherever out. 90 days out, they get a phone call once a month. What do you say when you call a C lead that you know they're not ready for 12 months and you got to call them once a month? Would you like some dialogue on this? My favorite dialogue for calling a C lead, I know they're not ready yet, so there's no point in me pushing them. I want to respect their time frame. And I say, hey, this is Verl. I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on anything. Are you getting the properties we're sending over? Put it on you. I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. You know what they say? Oh, no, you're doing great. I get all those properties. I say, great. Getting any closer? Oh, yeah, we're still July. I say, all right, I just want to make sure I'm staying in touch. Just stay in touch. It's as easy as that. You got to stay at the front of their mind. You got to pick up the phone and you got to call. So the C leads we call during the week of the 8th. A leads we have a what? We have an appointment. An A lead we have a what? A B lead we call twice a month on the weeks of the 1st and the 15th. A C lead we call once a month on the week of the 8th. Okay, now recap. Here we go. One more time. A lead have an appointment. We just did this. B lead call twice a month. C leads we call once a month. And our sphere of influence we call on the week of the 22nd. What have I just given you? It's a system. Oh, here's what I've learned about systems. This is really deep. Everything works, nothing doesn't. You just got to do it, right? You have to put it into place. The action items are, decide what your 1MT is. By the way, I do this with my 10-year-old soccer team, Jake. Jake plays on a little tournament soccer team. We'll be in California over Thanksgiving for the Nomads event. And I've taught these little 10-year-old boys when practice is over, we do 1MT, 1MT. They kick one more goal, they do one more drill, they run one more lap. They're doing one more thing one more time when everybody else quits. And it's so fun to see the team building and the leadership of the captains come together as 10-year-olds. Do one more thing one more time. Bill, I'm sure you can come up with one more thing for them to do, can't you? Yeah, no question there. Knock one more door, do one more closing. You don't know who to call? Go over and see Land Voice Data and get your list of FSBOs and expireds. They got more people you can call than you can even handle. Pick up the phone and prospect. One more thing, one more time. Follow the ABCs of lead follow-up and track it for the next 60 days. What happens when you track it? That which gets measured gets done, and your conversions will go up. And remember, I will persist until I succeed. Number 4, I got up this morning and I felt like there was somebody here that needed to hear this message. Someone who borrowed money to get here, or they're sharing a room, sleeping on the floor with their broker, another agent in their office that has kind of done everything they could to make it to this event. And I don't know who you are, but this message is for you. The way you feel about yourself translates through nonverbal communication to the people who you'd like to serve. And if you don't feel great about who you are, it's going to be very difficult for you to earn their trust. And so I'm going to share this with you in Og's words, and I just want you to, if whoever you are, come up and see me afterwards, and I'll give you one of these books. I am nature's greatest miracle. Since the beginning of time, there has never been another with my mind, my heart, my eyes, my ears, and my hands, or my hair, or my mouth. None that came before, and none that live today, and none that come tomorrow can walk and talk and move and think exactly like me. All men are my brothers, yet I am different from each. I am a unique creature. I am nature's greatest miracle. I am a unique creature of nature. I am rare, and there is value in all rarity. Therefore, I am valuable. And I believe this about each one of you. The biggest difference between average and exceptional is first changing the way you feel about yourself and embracing your uniqueness. It's okay to be different. I love that. I have 6 children. Each one of them are unique and awesome in their own individual ways, and I love all of them equally. Well, I think I like my littlest one the best. By the way, this is my, Brianne, stand up and say hi to everybody. This is my oldest daughter, Brianne, who's with me. Brianne and Philip are both business consultants with us, and they'll meet with you and talk to you about coaching or whatever. But Brianne's also a buyer's agent on my team, does a phenomenal job, is new to real estate, and this is how she runs her life and her business. I remember when I started first working with Og Mandino, we were on a drive 7 hours to Lake Powell, and I've got Brianne and all of her friends in the car in the Suburban, and we're listening to the 10 Scrolls. And I made all these young adults listen to the 10 Scrolls. All right, so what's your purpose for being here? Ask yourself that question. Why am I here? Will I strain my potential until it cries for mercy? That's what Og says to do. I want you to meet Christy Buck. Christy Buck's a client that I coach in Clear Lake, Texas. And when I met Christy Buck, she was 7 to 10 producing transactions a year. She had come to real estate from, I got to think about this, she was a dental hygienist and was about to quit real estate and go back and be a dental hygienist again. And let me show what's happened. She wanted to finish in the top 5 in her office. She wanted to have a complete paperless business. She wanted to set up a contact management system, and she wanted every client on a follow-up plan. Do you have tools to be able to do that in Exit? What % of the agents in Exit actually use those tools? Steve, what do you think, 50? No way. 20? Not even 20? 10? Oh, so we have the tools, we have the knowledge, but we don't have the application. What is the value of increased knowledge if our behaviors and actions aren't changed as a result of that knowledge? Say that louder. Right, so we have to change our behavior. Here's where Christy Buck ended up in 2013. She was fully paperless. She actually hired 2 assistants and 2 buyer's agents. She set up her contact manager. She finished number 1 in her office at $720,000 in income. What's really cool is whenever we finish a year, at least with my clients, our goal is the next year, what are we going to do? Double it. Here's where she is year to date. She's at $900,000 year to date. She's on target to be at 1.2 by the end of the year. This is a single mom who didn't believe she could make $250,000. And then she didn't believe she could do $500,000, and then she didn't believe she could do $1 million. When I had my call with Christy last week, I said, what are our goals for next year? She says, I know what you're going to say. I said, no, what are you going to say? She says, we're going to double it, and we will double it. The difference is believing in who you are and what you can accomplish. There is no difference between you and Christy, except she believes today that she can actually do something different. I believe in you, and if you believe in yourself as much as I believe in you, then let's put the plan together and let's execute it. The action items with this one are increase your knowledge of the market, practice your scripts and dialogue, become better. Opportunity will come to you equal to your ability. And so if you don't focus on increasing your ability to make a difference, if you don't practice your scripts and your dialogues and go to your training, then the opportunities won't present themselves. But as your ability increases, the opportunities that are presented to you will increase, and you'll be able to convert. Focus on work when you're at work, and focus on home when you're at home. There is absolutely no value in creating wealth if you do it at the expense of the people you care most about in your life. If you say to me, I already feel like I'm that person that's running my life in first gear, and I've got my RPMs all the way up, and I can't imagine doing any more business, I can tell you already your family is suffering, they miss you. And it's time to take your foot off the gas, push in the clutch, and surround yourself with better people and better processes so that you can live life well, not just make money. It's not about the money. Be present in the moment. Work when you're at work and set aside family. And when you're with your family, shut your phone off and be with your family. Be present in the moment and be coachable. You've got to be coachable or we can't make a difference. Number 5, I will live this day as if it is my last. I will live this day as if it is my last. And what shall I do with this last precious day which remains in my keeping? First, I will seal up its container of life, so that not one drop spills itself upon the sand. I will waste not a moment mourning yesterday's misfortune, yesterday's defeats, yesterday's aches of the heart. For why should I throw good after bad? I really did some deep thought on this. As a matter of fact, Thursday of this week, I was on the phone with a guy by the name of Dave Blanchard, who's the CEO of Augmandino Corporation. And I was sharing with him my thoughts on the talk. And I wanted to make sure that I honored Augmandino and what I shared with you today. And I said, Dave, is this about, what you would do if it was your last day? Because he finishes this scroll, which I think is kind of interesting. He finishes a scroll that says, this day will I make my best. It says, this day will I make the best day of my life. This day I will drink every minute to a full. I will savor its taste and give thanks. I will make every count. Every minute I will trade only for something of value. I will labor harder than ever before, push my muscles until they cry for relief, and then I will continue. I will make more calls than ever before. I will sell more goods than ever before. I earn more gold than ever before. Each minute of today must be more fruitful than the hours of yesterday. My last must be my best. I will live this day as if it is my last, and if it is not, I will fall to my knees and give thanks. And I said to Dave, Dave, I'm struggling with this one, because if I knew today was going to be my last day, I don't think I'd be working. That's where my heart is. I lost my father-in-law a few years ago to pancreatic cancer, and it was very moving to see someone knowing that he had a terminal illness and how he spent his last days. From diagnosis to his funeral was 9 months. My father-in-law was very private. He wasn't open with praise or I love you, but we never left his side without him saying, I love you. His grandkids know that he loves them. It's interesting. And what Dave says, he says, it's not about this being your last day. It's about today being the last today. And when it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. So what you do with today is gone forever. So what will you choose to do with today? I think how many of you have a calendar that looks like this the day before you leave on vacation? All right, you ought to see my wife's list, right? So my wife, with 6 kids, she's got the fridge, and it's got every kid's typed out, what they're going to do, what the activities have to be. We are so organized. How many of you get hyper-organized before you came to California for the convention? You got everything delegated, you planned it out, you got people handling your business, all handled, right? What if every day you ran your day like that? How much more productive would you be? That's the concept of I will treat each day as if it is my last, because once today is gone, you can't get it back. So if you're going to work, let's go all in. Let's work and work well. If it's a vacation day, let's play hard. Let's live today as if it's our last. And if it's not, let's fall on our knees and give thanks. He says that you need to schedule your work day and have it be full of productive activities. $2,400 an hour activities, right? Make more calls than ever before, set more appointments than ever before, knock more doors than ever before, write more offers than ever before, because this is your last day at work. What will your legacy be? How do you want to leave it at the end of the day? They're like, man, that was awesome. Did you see what she did today? That was an amazing thing. Okay, number 6, I will be the master of my emotions. This is for the women in my life. I have a wife, I have 3 daughters, 4 sisters. I will be the master of my emotions. How many of you allow your emotions to shut you down? Oh, something happens, you have a bad day, and you can't talk to anybody right now. I can't do any more prospecting right now. And how many of you sabotage your own success and look for things to mess up your day so you can get out of prospecting because you just aren't feeling it? I can't do it today, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. Whatever. Okay, so here's what Og says. He says, I got to put this up here. Og says, today I will be the master of my emotions. And how will I master my emotions so that every day is a happy day and a productive one? I will learn this secret of the ages. Weak is he who permits his thoughts to control his actions. Strong is he who forces his actions to control his thoughts. Every day when I awaken, I will follow this plan of battle before I am captured by the forces of sadness, self-pity, and failure. And here's the chant. If I feel depressed, I will sing. If I feel sad, I will laugh. If I feel ill, I will double my labor. When you feel ill, how many of you call in sick? Oh, I wasn't feeling very good. If you're Canadian, it's like, I wasn't feeling very good, you know. So I didn't go to work today. If you feel ill, what does Og say? Double up, work twice as hard. He says, if I feel fear, I will plunge ahead. If I feel inferior, I will wear new garments. My wife thinks this means I can shop, right? Oh, I wasn't feeling good today, so I need new garments. If I feel uncertain, I will raise my voice. If I feel poverty, I will think of wealth to come. If I feel incompetent, I will remember my past success. And if I feel insignificant, I will remember my goals. For today, I will be the master of my emotion. Here's a simple action item. I want you to wake up every day and be the weatherman in your own life and decide what kind of day it's going to be. You have the choice and ability to make a difference. Get up and you can decide, hey, I don't know, is it partly cloudy? Is it going to be a thunderstorm? Don't mess with me because I'm not feeling good. Or is it going to be a sunny day? Whatever you're feeling, change it. Change it to be a sunny day. In your journal, in your Evernote journal where you're keeping track of what you're going to do, I want you to track for the next 30 days your weather barometer. And let's monitor your moods. You want to be really masterful at becoming a great salesperson, the greatest in the world. Not only measure your own moods, but learn to measure the moods of those you interact with and help change their day to sunny. Each day you wake up, set your weather condition, have the ability to choose, recognize the moods of those who call on, and make an adjustment. Understand not only moods, but personality types. How many of you have done disc profiling? Is that a big thing? Yeah. We do the disc. Why do we do that? Because we want to be able to communicate effectively to people in a language that they understand. It's all about them. It's not about us. It's not about manipulation. It's about communication. And if I understand that you're a high S, I'm going to talk to you differently than if you're a high I. Isn't that true? My high I's, I'm going to be like, what is up? Get over here. Give me some of that. My S's are already climbing under the chair. They're like, don't talk to me. They're just different. You've got to be able to change. Become the master of your emotions. Present in a way that allows you to serve based on where they are today, as opposed to where you are because you've changed and you bring sun. People feel your energy, by the way, folks. Okay, so, when you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, how many of you actually have self-talk? Do any of you talk to yourselves? Brianne, do I ever talk to myself? All the time. When she first started traveling with me, I had to tell her, stop answering questions that I ask myself. Because I'm just talking to myself, and what I'm doing is I'm preparing myself for the next interaction, and I want to change the way people feel when they have an opportunity to interact with me. I want you to feel uplifted and motivated and excited and happy to be here. I don't want to feel like after we've had an interaction that I've sucked whatever life you have left in you out with my whining through the day. How you doing? Oh, we're getting by. There's just no franchises to sell in our market. Oh, realtors in our market are just, two things I hear from everybody is, my market is different than everybody else's. And nobody can do it as good as me. Let me tell you something, you're wrong in both cases. Lots of people can do it as well as you. Outsource it to them. Maybe they'll do it even better. And your market's the same as every other market. People care, and they need a house to live, and they want to make a living, and they want to support their families. That's who we serve. It doesn't matter where you live. I have clients in Moab, Utah with 5,000 population doing over 150 transactions a year. Don't tell me it's okay for you to do 12 in a population of 50,000 or 100,000. In Casper, Wyoming, she does 400 transactions a year. In Casper, Wyoming is on the way to a small town. Number 7. If this is not my favorite scroll, it's really close. I will laugh at the world. No living creature can laugh except man. Trees may bleed when they are wounded, and beasts in the field will cry in pain and hunger, yet only I have the gift of laughter. and it is mine to use whenever I choose. Henceforth, I will cultivate a habit of laughter. How do you not love that, right? You know, so this is Josh Sundquist, the one-legged skier, right? So I was on his website, and I want to know how he uses humor in his life. He says, when life hands you lemons, make great Halloween costumes. How about the one-legged gingerbread man? Is that not the coolest thing? Okay, so the one on the right, it took me a minute to figure out, that's a lamp. He's dressed up as a lamp. And the one on the bottom, he's upside down with his one leg in the air as a flamingo. Okay, now how's that for having fun and laughing at yourself? I don't want you to laugh at other people. I want you to laugh at yourself first. We're pretty funny. Just, you know, how many of you got involved in the bucket challenge? Anybody do that? Why do you think that went so viral? I think what a cool thing to raise money for ALS and to have people do it. But why do you think that went so viral? Why was it so interactive? And why did it go crazy? Because it allowed people to laugh at themselves. It wasn't about you laughing at them on Facebook. It was about them laughing at themselves on Facebook. And when we laugh, we're happy. And when you're happy, people want to be around you. Incorporate laughter into your daily habits. Include laughter at work. It's okay to have fun at work. Don't be so serious. Og says, these are his words. He says, and how can I laugh when confronted with man or deed which offends me, as to bring forth my tears or my curses? 4 words will I train myself to say until they become a habit, so strong that immediately they will appear in my mind whenever good humor threatens to depart from me. These words passed down from the ancients will carry me through every adversity and maintain my life in balance. The 4 words, this too shall pass. Very good. This too shall pass. Make a sign. Put it up in your office. Whatever's dragging you down or causing you stress, go up there and tap the sign when you walk into the office. Give it one of these. This too shall pass. And just remember, whatever it is, it passes. Steve, we've had issues over the years. We've had challenges and problems and failure, haven't we? Do they pass? Yeah, we get through it, and we just go on to the next thing. My favorite dialogue, when prospecting and somebody shuts me down. You know what my favorite dialogue is? Everybody write this down. This one's not in my notes. Next. I love that one. Right? Next, because I know that I'm that much closer to a yes. Shut me down again. Yeah, give it again. That means I'm going to get that much closer to a sell. I love objections. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I had another 2 hours. Okay, so number 8. I will multiply my value 100-fold. Og says, I am likened unto a grain of wheat, which faces 3 futures. The first is, I can be ground into slop and fed to swine. The second is, I can be made into bread and served to others. And the third is, I can be planted in the earth and multiply. The difference between me and a grain of wheat is I have a choice. And here's what he says his choice is. Let's see if I can do this justice. He says, the wheat cannot choose whether to be fed to swine or ground to bread or planted to multiply. I have a choice, and I will not let my life be fed to swine, nor will I let it be ground under the rocks of failure and despair to be broken open and devoured by the will of others. First, I will set goals for the day, the week, the month, the year, and my life. Just as the rain must fall before the wheat is cracked, its shell and sprout, so must I have objectives before my life will crystallize. In setting my goals, I will consider my best performance of the past and multiply it 100-fold. Remember when I said whatever you did last year, double it? Og says I'm weak. He says multiply it 100 times. And this will be the standard by which I will live in the future. Today, I will multiply my value 100-fold. I will not commit the terrible crime of aiming too low. I will do the work that a failure will not do. I will always let my reach exceed my grasp. I will never be content with my performance in the marketplace. I will always raise my goals as soon as they are attained, and I will always strive to make the next hour better than the last. I say that in order to multiply your value 100-fold, you have to choose the activities that you do every day. There is no task too small to outsource. One of the favorite lines of my partner, Bob Corcoran, there are no tasks too small to outsource. Stop obsessing about the cool new things that are out there and focus on the tools, the technology, the processes, the systems that we have today. You must be able to plant the wheat and nurture it over time if you want to be able to reap the rewards. The whole exit concept, everything you're about as a company, the DNA of exit is about multiplying your value 100-fold. Like, we could do the whole conference on this one scroll, because the only way to multiply your value is to bring other people to the family and then help them be successful. And as you help them be successful, you're rewarded for that effort. That concept is so foreign to real estate. Most offices, most agents don't want other agents in their office to be successful, yet you breed productivity. You help each other be successful because we all benefit with each of your individual success. That's why we're different. Brokers and owners, I want you to write these 4 words down. I wish I had, maybe at another time we'll do a broker conference and I can spend some time with you. The 4 things you should be doing every day: recruit, ramp, reward, retain. Those are the 4 R's to running a successful real estate practice. You should spend the majority of your time doing those 4 things. Everything else should be outsourced. You find people who you want to change their lives. You ramp them by putting them through our systems and program and training. You make sure that you reward them. How do you reward them? You find out what motivates them, and most of the time it's not money. The reward comes as they actually do transactions, and then we retain them by creating an opportunity for them to actually retire at some point in this business wealthy. That's what we do. Am I on the right page? Recruit, ramp, reward, retain. The action items: understand, return on your time investment and focus on what the most activities you need to do every day. Be focused on your A activities. Make your list. What's your priority plan? Do the A's first. Delegate, become a true leader, and be the CEO of your business. Number 9, I've got to give you this. The last 2 I'll go fast. Number 9 is, I will act now. Number 9 is, I will act. I will act. My dreams are worthless. My plans are dust. My goals are impossible. That's how he starts this chapter. All are of no value unless followed by action. I will act. That's right, I will act now. He said tomorrow is only found in the calendar of fools. And I am not a fool. Action is the food and the drink which nourish my success. I will act. Now I know to conquer fear, I must always act without hesitation, and the flutters in my heart will vanish. Now I know that action reduces the lion of terror to an ant of equanimity. I will act. Bill, when are we going to go knock? Right. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, but we got to get out there and we got to act right now. I will act now, I will act now, I will act now. That is the difference between success and failure. Those who have the ability to take action and change their behavior will find success. And there are so many ways to do it. But you've got to choose to take your foot off the gas for a minute, look at where you are, push in that clutch, shift the gear, and let's go on and move a little bit faster. I will act now. You know, I've talked about so many things, and I want to talk to you more. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Come by and see me. I'm here today and tomorrow at the Corcoran booth out on the floor. There's got all these partners to support Exit. Visit all of us, but come and see me. We have 3 programs. We have a Noble program. It's called No One Left Behind. That's our Augmandino coaching program. I can tell you about that. We have Real Results Group Coaching, which many of you have been through and have great success with, and we have private coaching. Talk to Brianne or talk to Philip, our business consultants. Philip's one of the best coaches in the country, is back in the booth. He coaches agents in way in excess of $1 million a year in income. Take a minute, ask him where you are, set up a 30-minute consult. We'll meet with you and we'll talk to you where you are. The time to act is now, not later. Scroll number 10. When do we act? Now. I love that. Hey, you get a good idea, you're going to put it into practice. When? Now. Right now. We're going to act now. Number 10 is really simple. Number 10 is, I love this last scroll. He says, who is of so little faith that in a moment of great disaster or heartbreak has not called to his God? Who has not cried out when confronted with danger, death, mystery beyond his normal experience or comprehension? From where has this deep instinct come which escapes from the mouth of all living creatures in a moment of peril? Move your hand in haste before someone's eyes and his eyelids will blink. Tap another on his knee and his leg will jump. Confront another with a dark horror and his mouth will say, my God, from some deep impulse. Og finishes by saying, let me become all you've planned for me when my seed was planted and selected by you to sprout in the vineyard of this world. Help this humble salesman. Guide me, God. The action item for number 10 is acquire opportunities equal to your ability. And if your ability isn't where it needs to be, acquire greater ability. Find a coach and be coachable, okay? The key to a great coaching relationship, and Exit has a whole army of people that want to help you. Engage in their programs and be coached. Acquire ever-increasing in levels of ability to handle ever-increasing levels of stress with ever-increasing levels of ease. That's our goal, is to help you accomplish that. I have one last slide, and I will finish with persist until I succeed. Og says this, and I read it earlier, but I want to share it one more time, and I want you to remember this because this is who we are. This is how I want to start this conference, and this is how I want to make next year the best year we've ever had as Exit, as a company, as individuals in your personal business and lives. I was not delivered into this world, into defeat, nor does failure course through my veins. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to talk and walk and sleep with the sheep. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. Exit Realty, to your success. Let's have a great conference and a great 2015 going forward. Thank you, everybody. Let's have fun. Here we go.
Thank you so much. Incredible information, and what a way to start the day. Woo!
Thank you so much.
As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with this plaque for contributing to our 2014 convention. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Somebody call my wife, tell her I'm working out.
Another hand.
Thank you, everybody.
Did you hear what he said? He said, somebody call my wife, tell her I'm working out.